Good morning, our final day in the book of Hebrews. Today we read the Great Faith Hall of Fame in Hebrews chapter 11, one of the most inspiring chapters in the Bible, thoroughly enjoyable to read. Lifts your spirit, lets it soar above the troubles of this world and look again to heaven. And that in fact is the purpose of these final chapters of Hebrews. The writer is addressing a group of Christians who are weary. They are being persecuted in some sense. He talks about how they endured the plundering of their goods and other forms of persecution. And he's writing to them in these final chapters. The letter comes to a great emotional head as he exhorts them to continue walking by faith. So let's just read a couple of the comments. He speaks about how Abraham saw another land, that he was called to leave where he was and go to a land that God said he would show him. He had to go in faith. And he left his homeland, the place where that place he called home. I mean, is there any place in the world that every human being wants to be at more than the place called home, where we feel safe, where we feel accepted, where we feel at peace? Well, God told him, leave. Go to the land I'll show you. And in fact, when he got to the promised land, it wasn't home. He traveled around in tents. And this is why. For those who say such things declare plainly that they seek a homeland. In your heart, do you feel that? As a Christian, you should. That you're not at home. There is a sense of unease in this life. And that sense of unease, as long as it's motivated by a disciplined, godly life, looking to Jesus, looking to the promises of the resurrection, that dissatisfaction is shouting out from within you that you seek your true home. And truly, if they had called to mind that country from which they had come out, they would have had opportunity to return, speaking of Abraham and Sarah. But now they desire a better, that is a heavenly country. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared a city for them. Do you know that God has prepared a city for you? Eternal in the heavens. Later on, he makes the same comment, speaking about the life of Christians being holy. He says, Jesus also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered outside the gate. Therefore, let us go forth to him, outside the camp, bearing his reproach. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek the one to come. And it's on the basis of this eternal hope, this city in heaven, which God has prepared for us, where we will finally feel at home. It is based on that hope, which is received by faith, that you can walk out this life dealing with the temptations to give up your faith. Because that's really the main theme of this letter. It is addressing a people who were feeble knees, hands hanging down, weary of all their struggle and wanting to go back to their old life in Judaism. And many were giving up their faith. Well, you're going to face the same temptation in life, my friend, to give up your faith. And if you're a young Christian, you think, that'll never happen to me. If you're a Christian for any period of time, you are going to go through tremendous struggle in maintaining your faith. And I just want to read to you one of the comments from Hebrews chapter 11 as I kind of conclude my thoughts. He's speaking about Moses and how Moses left Egypt when he was Pharaoh's son, potentially in line to become the next Pharaoh. And he says this, by faith, Moses, when he became of age, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the passing pleasures of sin, esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he looked to the reward. By faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. He endured as seeing him who is invisible. How do you see someone who is invisible? By faith. So this morning I just wanted to bring out some of that, just to encourage you. If by chance you've stumbled across this video and you've thought, well, all of this faith stuff and all of the holiness and all of the discipline that I'm trying to show and saying no to all sorts of things that I used to be able to say yes to, and walking through this life, it's actually miserable, and potentially you are struggling with some kind of persecution, you're being teased by your faith, or you've paid some price. Here's the point. You need to have faith. You need to persist. You need to keep walking the walk of faith. Though you do not see God, he is invisible. Walk as if you see him. Keep your eyes on Jesus. There's enough evidence, my friend, that all of this is true. Don't be those who draw back, but be those who persist and make it to the end. And I'll see you in that holy city where we will live forever. So have faith, my friend. God is using your struggles as discipline. He's shaping your character with the hardships that he's taking you through. And if you are struggling with fear and anxiety, listen to the words of the writer this morning. Be content with such things as you have. Even in this life, while we walk through this life in a tent like Abraham, in a land that we don't feel like is our home, you can be content with the things that God has given you. For he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. So we may boldly say, the Lord, Yahweh, is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me? There is comfort in this life as you wait for the coming of that great city. God is with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So you can boldly say, God is my refuge, my fortress, my helper. He's with me. What can man do to me? Well, I pray for you that God will so work in your heart that you will find that regulation of your emotions, where you don't get too excited about anything in this life because this is not your home. But you also don't get too depressed or fearful in this life because you know that while you walk through this foreign land, God is with you, and he will never leave you, and he will never forsake you. So God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.